Folks, hello and welcome to
Here we are.
Dungeons, Dragons, and Discourse. I'm your host, Glen Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, and with me is none other than Glen Halstrom, Old Man Grognard himself.
Hiya, folks. Hell of a name, huh?
Old Man Grognard.
No, I mean Dungeons, Dragons, Discourse.
Oh, well, yes. Alliteration.
All right, I'm not.
Alliteration. What a show. Alliteration. Don't you know? I'm sorry, my bad Mel Brooks half impression. You'll have to ignore me.
Well, you know, Becky did my DNA and ancestry, and adopted. So they found out the family I actually came from is in California, and the last name is Garrett. So if I want to, I can go by Glen Garrett and be alliterative too.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. GG. Or who would that be?
Gigi.
Gigi.
You could don't call me Gigi.
Gigi Halstrom? No? All right.
That'd be funny.
I'm just throwing that out there. So, folks, just as usual, sorry, as my allergy / cold is the best of my nose. Glenn and I have done a crap ton of prep for this show, which means, which really means that it's in your lap. But no, seriously,
I've done a crap ton, but not for the show.
Oh, I started my day with a crap ton or a ton of crap. But in any case, I do want to say a huge thank you to everybody who bought issue 1 of Torchlight. You've shown that it is a feasible
round of applause. Yes. Round of applause.
Well, it's a feasible project. I'll know better within the first 30 days if paying 5 cents a word for articles is something that we can continue doing, or if we're going to have to tweak that a little bit. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. I don't do these projects to make money for myself. I like to make sure the creators are getting reimbursed, and I want to make sure that my investment, whether it's art or paying for layout or paying off that in the end that yes, a shot load, a chateaued, but I just like to make sure that I like to make sure that what's the phrase? I'm not out of pocket in the end. But I'm not looking for profit. Any monies that we make off this, we put back into the community. At least, my share. That's why we do these giveaways. By the way, when we hit 1,000, we're going to give away $500 in Drive-Thru RPG. And I got to figure out how much we're at right now, Glenn. Hold me, Glenn. I'm scared. Hold on.
When we hit 1,000 for Torchlight?
No, for YouTube. When YouTube hits 1,000 subscribers,
we're at 906.
This? We're at 906 subscribers.
That's
getting real.
That's more than I got for my YouTube videos.
906 subscribers. So 1,000 is the magic.
I've been doing it for longer than you.
What can I say? I exposed myself. Not in the way.
It's a magic number.
But we're going to give away $500 in Drive-Thru RPG Now gift certificates to folks logged in and commenting on a special episode. Hey, maybe we'll try to bring in all the hosts for that one and just have a nice celebration and a good time. And also at North Texas 2022, if we hit 1,000, the Tavern will sponsor a room and fill it. And I say a room at the convention, not a hotel room. And we will fill it with booze. So it should be good times had by all. Again, tis where your money goes. Mark. Just so you'll know. And Eric is better looking. Well, you know what? I'm not sure whether to be flattered.
That's why I wear a hat.
Well, my hair used to be like a dark brown. Now it's.
Like, hello, Mark Hunt. We need to talk.
Sounds like a personal issue.
Well, I just want to discuss some artwork with him for
Okay.
Gangbusters.
So now I want to. Glenn and I, right before the show, we were talking, and one thing that I'm looking to do, get ready. I was thinking by the end of the summer, it might actually wind up being around of all dates, 9/11, because this is going to be the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and if my old gaming group, we were all struck by 9/11. We lost a core member of our group, not in law enforcement, but he was a civilian in the towers, and we lost him that day. So we're going to kick off our new attempt at running a campaign, and I wanted to do Swords of Wizardry. Then I really was thinking about it earlier today, and I think this is what I'm going to run. This way, they don't need the rules because Swords of Wizardry, Crypts and Things is built off Swords of Wizardry, but it's a sword and sorcery rip on Swords of Wizardry, so it allows me to add different classes and different flair and different flavor, and I can steal from other resources pretty
swords
well.
And so you mean like Hyperborea type swords and
it's like Hyperborea, but it's lighter. It's a lighter system.
Oh, it's pulp fantasy then. Okay.
Pulp fantasy. Yeah. You can heal yourself by getting drunk. The regular things that
Hey, I might add that to Hyperborea. That'd be great.
Yeah, Yeah. So again, that's something.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say my Monday group is going to meet once a month, face to face now, and hopefully work into like every other week. And I'm going to be running, and I'm running this.
Okay, that's a fun system, but little.
Well,
that is the rule cyclopedia, effectively, right?
No, it's more of a 1E that makes a few tweaks, like you can do ascending or descending armor class and one saving throw and all that. This, I don't know. I just pulled it out of my shelf. This was a review copy somebody sent me, and I pulled it off the shelf. And said, "Hey, let's try this." I have to find my own monsters and my own treasure because of them, but. So this is what I'm going to use for my monsters.
Oh, well, the great thing about monstrosities is it gives you a little hint of an adventure or an adventure hook.
Oh yeah, they give you a great hook. I may not, to me it's down to weight, what I have to carry. So I'm looking for my Square Hex BX monster reference and maybe just take that.
Oh God, yeah.
I have it somewhere. I just don't know where it is.
For
that matter, I can use Swords and Wizardry monsters.
You can use any of them. Listen, all these monster books are pretty much compatible across the realm of OSR systems.
In this book, they suggest using Osric, but it's like, no, we're going to do ascending armor class. I don't want to bother having to think on the fly. So
yeah, I got to say that's one thing that I have. When I first returned to gaming, I was like, ascending AC. We only play with descending AC in my games, and we walked uphill to school, back and then back again uphill in our bare feet with our D&D book strapped to our back. And now I gotten older, and I'm like, oh fuck it, I like ascending AC because I don't have to think.
Well, yeah. I mean, I did the same thing. I want the real. I want the original. This is how I learned descending AC, and then I thought about it and go, no, I'm old. I don't want to have to deal with this.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the huge reasons.
And the funny thing is, I can do Thaco like that. That's a funny thing.
Yeah, and listen, if you look at my old DMG, my original DMG, you could find the combat matrix chart and the saving throws. Mm-hmm. Those pages are discolored from referencing all the time. Then again,
I bought a 1E. I bought a 1E set from Mark Donahoe a couple of years in North Texas. I opened the player's handbook, page 75. Yep, there's all kinds of food and Cheetos and, stuff right on those charts. And it's like, yeah, okay, this is a working copy.
At least there's no blood sacrifice on it. That would make it a bit more dangerous and difficult. But yeah, I mean, that's...
Yeah.
But I mean, I look back with fondness to my days of playing in my teen years and my 20s, and they were great. But if you had started us with ascending AC right from the start, it would have been so much simpler. And I don't know why Gary did the descending AC. Maybe it was to wield. We're gonna just kind of weed out the non-geeks, and everybody has to do some basic math.
Well, that's because at that time the war game mindset died hard. Well, we've been doing this in war games all these years. I don't want to mess with it. It's just the way it was.
You want very true.
You want a weird experience? 4th edition Gamma World. That's where they tried out Thaco, or that's where they tried out Ascending Armor class. But the unarmored is 0, not 10.
Huh.
So I was like, what do you guys do? Wait, you can't. I mean, I'm on the board with Ascending now, and you guys can't. You can't get your act together. I guess. Oh well. Yes, Richard, you're right. 20 minus AC. That's how I do it.
But now, it's different whether you're playing basic or whether you're playing advanced, because advanced has an AC 10. Basic only goes to AC 9. So,
well, I can remember that.
Yeah, my head kind of gets a little screwy on that. Mark Hunter, I play BX. I am used to that chart for attacks, and it's just what I know inside and out. Yeah, I mean, we used to have the character sheets where you could put your own personal combat matrix on the bottom of the sheet, and
I love those.
It certainly sped up play, but having to refer to the chart for your first couple of years, and it really was the first couple of years, you were just like, oh, like now I don't want to refer to charts. I don't mind having charts. I just shouldn't have to refer to them for every combat. And Ascending AC takes that out of the loop, and I appreciate that for what it is. But
you still have to deal with that. Well, yeah, but you still have to deal with that bonus which I still don't understand why it's necessary. But people have explained it to me, and it still doesn't make any sense. Why do you need another number to throw in there?
What, a bonus to hit? For what, high strength?
Well, no. What in Ascending Armor class, every class has a bonus to hit.
Oh, I know, because you're saying I got it because
you have to add another number in there, and I don't know why.
Because that is your attack matrix being expressed as just a positive number. I would just figure out the math of my character and say, all right, what do I need to hit AC 0?
Right.
All right, I need a 12.
Well, this bonus to hit. Yeah, this bonus to hit just seemed like a cheat. It seemed like they're kind of jerry-rigging it. You know what I'm saying? To make it work. And I roll with it as long as I can. As long as it's easy. So, but it's still a mystery. I don't know.
Well, the great thing about Swords of Wizardry is it has ascending and descending armor class. So whatever the player feels comfortable with, So whatever the player feels comfortable with, you go with that. Fantastic. Oh God, what is it called again? Because it's got such a I can't read.
Fantastic Heroes and Witchery, which I think is a weird name. I don't know why. Why throw witchery in there? I don't know.
I think to differentiate it from the standard OSR.
How else would you represent improvements in your attack, David? Working it into to hit without. I don't
Right.
know.
I would instead of
When
the
I was doing
bonuses,
descending, I didn't need when I was doing ascending, I didn't need a standard bonus that got better or worse or however you do with descending.
Because you had a chart. What I think that they
Well,
should have done instead of having those the bonuses is just say what's your new
I
target
had
number.
Thaco.
Well,
I had Thaco.
Yeah, 2 hit armor class 0, which was oh god, I forget what adventure that was introduced in. It was snuck in late 1E, and it was like
Frank snuck. Oh, you're thinking? I think wasn't that in either Oriental Adventures or Unearthed Arcana?
No, I think it was actually snuck in one of the actual adventures.
Huh.
You know what? I'm going to do what I never do. Where was
what? Oh,
Thacker?
you gonna ask Alexa?
Oh no.
Yeah, ask
Where was
Alexa. Yeah, she'll know.
No. Thacker was
Shut
introduced.
up.
Oh, actually,
Sorry,
believe it or not, and see, this is something that's right. I forgot about that. It was introduced in the DMG of the first edition, but nobody ever noticed.
Technically, technically yes, because it's in that appendix with the chart. But they didn't explain it; they just put it there.
They didn't. No.
Nobody knew what it was, or they probably figured out. Well, it's just David says descending builds that bonus. Why doesn't descending build that in? That's my question, I guess.
Yeah, Appendix D of the 1A DMG includes a column labeled 2 hit AC 0. And those are the charts that I used forever because they didn't have a DMG. So
right. But I'm just saying that, they put it in there, but they didn't explain it.
Right.
It didn't get it really didn't get explained until the Rule Cyclopedia, where Frank put it in there. You know what's so funny? He explains Thaco in Rule Cyclopedia. And, you have the creature catalog to go along with it. In the Rule Cyclopedia, none of the monsters have Thacos. But in the creature catalog, they all have Thacos. I found that strange. I used to go through my Rule Cyclopedia with a pencil and just put the Thacos in for every monster.
Richard, again, when I was a kid, yes, it was second nature. When I say kid, teenager. But we always referred to the charts because nobody wanted to do the math. But if you can do it without having math to be done, like I said, again, it's 6 of one, a half dozen of the other. You get the same results in the end. I find it now at the advanced age of nearly 54 that I am preferring ascending AC. The results are the same. How you get there is different. And you know what? My players, when we kick this group off again, and after having there you go, and having not played as a group since 1997, and playing AD&D 2E was the last stuff that I was running. It could be interesting to see how they prefer to run it. Again, this is all stuff that happens on their side of the character sheet. I don't need to know. I just need to know the end result. Did you hit or did you miss? So whatever works out best for them, ascending, descending, they can do as they need to do.
And I'm old enough and lazy enough to actually tell them what the AC they have to hit is. You see, when you're younger, it's like you don't know, but let them figure out. But when you're my age, is he's got an AC of 14. Oh,
yeah. Well, it's like you don't know, but you missed by this much. Oh, so I need 15 next time. Well, I didn't say that, but I guess so. Yeah.
Matt still does that, but it's so easy for us to figure out. He's not. But anyway,
he's not an asshole DM. Okay, that's fair enough.
I could debate that. There's an app for it. Of course, there's an app for it.
There's an app for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Or most.
There's an app for the Trove.
No, there's no app for the Trove. The Trove is still in a state
something about that of suspended animation.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. there was a huge rumor, and I'm calling it a rumor because even though the individual in question has hinted that they are the ones behind the Trove going down, they have not actually come out and stated. They're like, haha, yeah, it's fucking gone. Yeah, that's great. But they haven't stated that they're the ones that had it taken down. But if you like playing a game that is like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, yet isn't Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, the creator publisher of that game may or may not be the reason why the Trove is gone. Again, I don't have concrete evidence one way or the other, so that's how I am going to state it. It was good to have people.
Here's the thing is with the Trove, I don't need the Trove. I got all my stuff I need, but that's not the point I make. But it was an article or a thread on Facebook, I can't remember, about the Trove being gone and what it means. And I understand why they want it gone, but he also made a good argument where these things need to be archived, especially the out-of-print stuff. And my first thought was, well, then put it on the Internet Archive. Simple. Remember, Dragon, believe it or not, you can still find on the Internet Archive.
Right. You can find Dragon. I think you can find Dungeon, other magazines. I think I could find Omni from back in the day on the Internet Archive. What
if I could find Shadis?
I don't know. I don't know if it was popular enough. I mean, hey, Shadis is the first gaming magazine that I actually wrote to with an article pitch, and Jolly actually wrote me back and said, "Great idea, go with it." And then I came down with pneumonia when I was in the police academy, and I never pitched it again. It fell off the radar, but I still have that kind of love for Shadis. It was one of the few.
That's where Knights of the Dinner Table started.
Yeah, well, it's one of the few game magazines that wasn't a house organ that actually was able to do pretty well and retain an audience over a number of years, and that's just a rarity.
Right. Yes,
you know what?
He makes a valid point there.
Yes, and I remember HBO making some sort of a statement that yes, we'd rather you pay for it. However, if you're going to pirate it, at least tell us how great it is. But I think that was in the beginning. I think by the end they were going to be locking down pirated sites. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Did I watch the first season off, or what would be the word here, or kind of like behind the curtain in one of those
illegal streaming sites?
Yeah, well, but then after that, we subscribed to HBO because, well, besides the fact that it meant that we could watch it on something other than my computer, it was a damn good show. Now, you can take that question a step further, though, because HBO Game of Thrones, you're getting people to you want them, if that first season goes viral, right, and then you get all these people interested in it, they will now buy in for seasons 2, 3, 4, until the horrible last season, which still I want to. But in any case, less so with gaming books, right? Because you buy a gaming book or you acquire a gaming book, you're acquiring it for a certain use. You're not saying, "Well, look at that! I snagged Torchlight 1 as a freebie through an illegal download site, but I like it so much, I'm gonna get issues 2 and 3." No, because you're gonna probably just snag them the same way. I'm not arguing one way or another for the Trove. Okay, there is some classic stuff that I own in Dead Tree, like Pavis and Big Rubble from Chaosium for the old RuneQuest game. I own them in Dead Tree, and when I got them for $5 a box back in '86 because they were already damaged. I think they The boxes had water damage and all that stuff. The content was fine. But the ability now for me to grab that material and put it on my tablet, because there's some place like the Trove, I find to be priceless. You know, I now, of course, Chaosium has, I think, re-released Pavis and Big Rubble compatible with the second edition of RuneQuest, and it's, again, I guess a cleaned up PDF that wasn't available when I was first looking for it. It's rough, man, because there's stuff that you'll probably never get as a AD&D or D&D collector, right? You never gonna get the which one is it? The Palace, the the
Palace
one
of the
by
Silver Princess.
You're never going to get the first printing of that. You'll probably never lay eyes on that unless you find an illegal PDF. You're not going to get it from DM's Guild, right? If you want to see what Gary Gygax and one of the Blooms look like as a two-headed ogre, that's where you got to go for it. So, and that's history, right? That's history. People talk about it, and what?
No, I was just going to brag. Never mind.
Go ahead, brag.
Oh, I said I have 3 copies of Isle of Dread, 2 orange covers and 1 blue cover.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I understand that.
Shads are Trove.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah. They could have driven a lot of
I was
sales.
surprised the Trove lasted as long as it did. No, I was just going to say, I'm surprised the Trove lasted as long as it did.
Well, here's the thing. The Trove has moved servers more than once. Now, who's this? The last server, as I understand it, was in Iceland. And I would assume the reason they moved it to Iceland and not an European Union country is that there were different laws. And again, Iceland is not part of the EU, so there's different regulations for material like this. And
they got their own thing going on.
Prior to it being taken down, it was pretty much like whack-a-mole. If you were a publisher and you had your material up on a Trove and you wanted it taken down, you had to file a complaint and then wait, and then
by that
then
time
your
you
title
could move the servers and
but it was just it was whack-a-mole. You had to find your stuff on there and request it be taken down, and they would take it down. But somebody with a big enough wallet to hire a high-priced IP lawyer, I guess one that was experienced in Icelandic law, went after the Trove this time. That's my understanding. Again, I'm not going to say with any definitivity who it was that caused it to go down, but the fact is it is down. And now if you listen around and you ask people who are in contact with people at the Trove, the thing is, the Trove is technically claiming that they're updating the servers or something like that. It might be. They're updating the servers. Might be moving the servers to Turkey or the Russia or the Ukraine or any one of these other countries where the laws might be a little bit more lax.
Oceania.
Yeah, I mean, well, we don't know, and we won't know until they pop back. Now, I always like to say, if I was a betting man, I would say that it's about 80% likely we'll see the Trove again before the end of the year, or something that is the Trove and not called the Trove. I just fully expect something like that. You can't, it's like a troll. You can only kill it with fire. Yes, yeah. To those of us that watched season 8, it didn't seem like the same series I had been watching prior to that. It felt rushed. It felt disjointed, and it really killed my joy of any spin-off series coming up, which I'm sure they'll do, but not really going to be what I was hoping it was going to be. Oh, see, I didn't. Yeah. This is interesting. By the way, Glenn, do you want to read this one from Shads? Because I didn't know this.
Daniel Kwan reviewed Oriental Adventures and told everyone to get the book from the Trove. It has changed 3 times, and that was just a year ago. He was promoting the Trove.
Now, for those of you who don't realize who Daniel Kwan is, he was the one that started the whole brouhaha over classic era TSR products no longer being or being offensive to people in the modern age, and Oriental Adventures being offensive just by its title, and how it homogenized different Asian heritages into one. Thank you, COVID, for causing such a wonderful, wonderful bag of poop. But yes, I didn't realize that he was promoting people to go to the Trove to read it. God bless it. Now, the thing is, Oriental Adventures, if I'm not mistaken, is available on drive-thru, and I think it was available last year. So I personally have an issue if you're telling somebody, hey, snag a free copy of something that the owner, the copyright owner, has been nice enough to make available in PDF or print on demand or whatever the case may be. I still think that the money should go there. But if it's not available, I don't have the moral quandary. If you're telling me, well, you want to get, I don't know, the very first edition of Call of Cthulhu, you want to be able to compare it to your box set and to the 7th edition rules, and you just want to get, it's not available, right? And you're going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to find it on eBay, but something has it available digitally on someplace at the Trove. Would I read it for a historical point of view for the game to see how it's? Yeah, I would. I'm not saying that makes me a good man or a bad man. It just tells you where I stand on that.
By the way,
the guy in Russia is posting daily RPGs to Usenet for the last few months. Not surprised.
500 gigabytes. Wow. Well, you know, they may have had more trouble than just us humble gamers, because they hosted PDFs of things other than games, like novels and things like that. So
yeah,
could have got it from a lot of sides.
David Thompson, another Trove-like site still up. I mean, listen, before the Trove, I used to download one of those apps that would allow you to scan, I guess, Usenet groups for gaming PDFs, and I would be looking for specific ones, usually stuff that I owned back in the past and no longer did, or I actually own, but my copy is I don't want to say collectible, but reached the point where it probably can't be read comfortably without risking damage to it. So I was looking for PDFs, and I'm not saying that I'm proud of that fact, but I'm not embarrassed by that fact either. It is what it is. But again, if you have this stuff available for sale at a reasonable price, and I think most of the time, Wizards of the Coast puts up the classic TSR era stuff in PDF at a reasonable price, especially when you have like the Christmas and July sales, which are probably coming up, I think, this weekend, if not just after. I wouldn't be looking to snag them for free, because they're available at a reasonable price. But if you will find stuff that's totally out of print and not available in PDF, again, it's a different kettle of fish, in my opinion. It's in his first video.
It is what it is.
Asians Represent. I didn't realize that Asians Represent kicked off with Let's Trash Oriental Adventures, which, by the way, when I bought that book back in the day, it introduced a lot of stuff to AD&D, non-weapon proficiencies, I believe, were the first time we saw them. It was a book that I was hoping to get literally more in the way of, I guess, fluff or more setting material out of it. And I wasn't thrilled with what I got, because it wasn't really usable in a regular campaign, and it wasn't really enough there to run an Asiatic campaign. But neither here nor there. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up to the messages in the chat here. You guys are chatty. Didn't Drive-Thru add a warning to all the AD&D books? I don't know if they added it to the books, but it added it to the sales page. And the initial, yeah. So I don't know if it comes up. I haven't bought any of these books since, or re-downloaded anything since then, but it's on the splash page. So, because I'll be the first to admit when sales come up like Christmas in July, and I do a post or two about what my choices would be, and a lot of times it's a poster showing some classic TSR stuff. Most of the stuff I have in print and I ran, so I'm not looking to grab the PDF, but the stuff is there, and you know it. But I don't know if it's on the actual PDF. I think it's just there's a warning on the sales page. I could be wrong.
Never know. The bunker.
Oh, his tales. Yeah, that was Ernie's live stream. Yeah, listen, that warning pissed me off when it came out, and the fact that they couldn't even spell their own IP properly told me that it was hastily drawn up by like an intern on a holiday weekend. It was like, we got to put this up real quick. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. No, it's Dungeons and Dragons. You don't. It's your own IP. There were typos and misspacings and that shit initially, so it was bad.
Well, in gaming, typos are a way of life.
Half the
when I played Champions 3rd and 4th edition back in the day, half the fun of getting the new books was finding all the typos because they were full of typos.
Randall, is that the first edition box set, or I don't know what the hell the differences are between those initial box sets. I have 2 older box sets, and I'm back in the Kickstarter because I just think you get a lot of material in that expanded box set that some of it I don't have in the original.
I still have the 5th edition, hardback. Big hoo-ha version that Sandy signed for me, so I don't need any earlier editions because they're pretty much interchangeable for me.
Yeah, I think 7th edition. I have that too. That one, I think the 7th edition starter box is a great deal. You get it for like less than $25, shipped on Amazon. Gives you the dice. Is the stuff that's going to last you for years at the playing table? No, the quality of the paper isn't going to be that high. But to get you and to introduce people to Call of Cthulhu, it's great. Now, that is probably the system that I love the most, that I've run the least. Because it's always a hard thing to get groups to commit to it, because it's not a campaign game. Rach wants to play. When we go to Game Hall, I got to find a Call of Cthulhu slot for us to get into. Because Call of Cthulhu is great for those one-shots. It's great for story arcs. Long-term play, less so, because, your characters don't improve. They just basically go insane, which I guess could be an improvement depending on how some people look at it.
I hear you.
All right, so yeah, Chad's is saying it looks like it's only a disclaimer on those sales pages on the drive-through hosted websites, but it's not actually carried through on the PDFs themselves, which is good to know.
Right.
Matt, Oriental Adventures came out. I thought this is so much better than everything else TSR has done so far. Again, I wanted to like it more than I did, and I could see that they were doing a lot of good content with it, but it did not lead me to say, how can I use this content? There was no, okay, this is the applied setting. Here's how you write an adventure for Oriental Adventures in that type of a setting. And I think that's a lot of times it's a failure as a DM. I got my hair from down here. But we, at least I especially, there's a default fantasy mindset that I can write an adventure for and crank something out in 2 or 3 hours that's playable, and maybe 6 to 8 hours that I would actually put up on the blog or put into Torchlight. But I can't say I can do that with other settings. I can't do that with sci-fi. I can't certainly do that with horror. Okay, so an Asiatic setting is not going to be something that I have the tools to be able to write for. And there was nothing out there at the time really for you to work with it. And the Oriental Adventures, the modules were hard to find, at least in my hobby shops. Yeah, you can find the core book, but anything to go along with it, I never actually owned any of the adventures for it. And I tried to buy almost everything. So, Ruins and Ronin. Yes. Oh God. Japanese mythology game. He used to post a lot. I guess it was on Google Plus or Flying Swordsman, I believe it, right? Swordsman. Good stuff, good looking game. But again, I could find myself taking aspects and putting it into a traditional sword and wizardry type of game, but I don't have enough of the mythology to properly run that stuff. And that's, that's the cultural baggage that I have. I'm sure there have been some great games that have done like Vikings really well, like Doug Cole. Douglas Cole. That's his wheelhouse, his specialty. But mine would probably just kind of default back to the generic fantasy with some Viking trappings because that's my comfort zone. I would need things written in that format for me to
do that with
properly.
Hyperborea. Easily do that with Hyperborea, anything Viking-ish.
Okay.
But that's me. But anyway.
It's okay, Glenn.
Talking about the trove and IPs and copyright and all that, I just realized why this does not come with any monsters in it.
Why is that?
They don't have to worry about they don't have to worry about WotC saying, well, you can't use this monster, you can't use that monster because we own copyright on those type of thing. I just thought of that. So.
David, I got the PM, and I'm going to add you as a friend on Discord because we should have been friends anyway. So there, the advantage of having a second
there you
screen.
go.
God, I have one. When I didn't have that second screen, life was miserable. If you want to design even an adventure, and this way you can have the map up on the one and you're typing on the other, it is a lifesaver. Honest to God, lifesaver. So we're almost caught up on the
Realms of Terror. Isn't that a Labyrinth Lord? No, I'm thinking of something else.
You know what? Mayfair Games published a lot of stuff. I got
a lot of it.
Yeah, and so and in the individual product, the quality would go from being like on a scale of 1 to 10. You'd have some articles or some sections of like the Dark Folk, I believe it was a bunch of adventures that were geared to different humanoid races, and you would look at some of them and go, "Wow, this one's like an 8 or 9 out of 10." And then you'd read the next article or next entry and be like, "And this one is 2." I would give it I would give it a 1, but I could probably get.
Then they had whole books that would knock it out of the park, like Undead. Undead was great.
Undead was really good. Then they had the Demons and Devils.
Yeah, they did the box sets. That was supposed to be good too. I had to get rid of those because there was the demonology stuff was a little too blatant for Becky.
Yeah, well, I actually got those.
So I gave it to Matt.
Probably.
I had Demons 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, I mean those collections, I got them 7, 8 years ago. There was like I guess there was new old stock that was found, and they
Well,
were selling this stuff at
mine
a
was half price
huge
books.
cut. These things were being
Mine
sold
was
at a
half.
really low.
Yeah, Lich Lords. Yeah, mine was half. I got them half books back when half price books actually had some good gaming stuff, used gaming stuff.
Well, now my understanding is half price books does not put the D&D stuff or game stuff as half priced anymore. I guess it's
They do,
all
but you don't find very much of it anymore. It's being,
okay.
people are hanging on to them, and so the places their sections get overrun by like old Pathfinder and four. Used to be you couldn't dead cat without hitting 4E stuff. Same with
Right.
Pathfinder first edition, and so that's mostly what you find there, and everything else is $30 for $30 to keep on the Borderlands. I don't think so.
Now I remember the way I got to know Frank Metzner was for reviewing level 1 of, I guess, Lich Dungeon. It was his Eldritch End release, and I didn't even. I did a quick first look, just looking at the preview available on DriveThru, and it was a fucking horrible mess. The maps were those made me look back longingly to the maps that I would do as a kid, because every piece and every square in a graph paper had to be detailed as a room. So there was no empty boxes. It was 100 by 100, and the layout was serviceable, shall I say. I'm going to be generous and use what they used with my layout. And it was using this fake system that didn't really exist, but it was percentile, because all the old guys thought that, if they produced something using the OGL, that Wizards of the Coast would come down and smack them. So therefore, they couldn't publish under the OGL. So they had to put up a fake percentile system and figure out the math yourself.
Kind of reminds me of Judges Guild, the Universal system.
Yes, very similar to that, and I have an issue with that too, especially
when they lost the D&D license, they had to do something.
So
also,
with Frank, though, I'm sorry, but with Frank, he got upset that I didn't like what I saw and challenged me to read the whole adventure. So I put the community's money for my affiliate sales up and download the whole adventure, and I went further on to trash it. So that's how I got to know Frank. That wasn't a great introduction. But years later, I'm with Vince, of all people, Vince Florio, and we're at Half Price Books out in the Dallas area. And Vince is somebody else who I got to know in a more antagonistic fashion. Man, I was an antagonistic bastard back then. But I found Lich Dungeon at Half Price Books, and it was like $10. Wow. I was like, all right. And I opened it up, and it's a signed copy by Frank to somebody at like Gen Con a few years prior. So I was like, oh, look at that. I'm getting Frank's signature on this book, and it was in good condition. It's a shitty book, but at least I could say I got Frank's signature on something. So that's a good thing. You remember? You know what this? I said I was going to run this Fantastic Heroes and Witchery. I'm halfway tempted to take out my 2-volume field guide for that Judges Guild thing they did, the 2-volume field guide for monsters or whatever, just because I want to see them fight toast or cigarettes. Because they did the stats for stuff like that. And they can fight burnt toast too, the evil kind. So anyway, he said joke monster manual. That's what made me think of that. No, that was like was it Greyhawk Castle or Greyhawk Castle Greyhawk?
Castle Greyhawk.
Oh my God! Listen, a great cover, and that cover made you think that you were going to get something serious, And instead, you got the gummy bears and all this other wonderful stuff. And I never even bothered trying to run that eventually because my players would have rebelled and they would have revolted against it. I wouldn't blame them either because, you know, it is there to insult everything that was Greyhawk. And I know it was like, oh, here's a parting gift to Gary as he leaves. Ba-doom. But I mean, the art was better than the writing. So.
You know what the two TSR modules I don't like is Dungeon Land and the Magic Mirror. Now, I am a very big Lewis Carroll Alice in Wonderland fan, but I didn't like what they did putting that in D&D. It just, I don't know. I never run it. It just seems like every single Wonderland creature in there is trying to kill you. You know.
Didn't Gary write those? I mean, I know I have the first one.
I don't know.
I don't know if I have the second one, but they were not. They were written in a way that I'm going to call, in modern parlance, the James Raggy way. You know, it's the Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Here's an adventure that you can't fucking survive. We're just going to fuck you. And at every turn, here's another fuck. Oh, that's just a whack in the ass.
Funny, I feel the same way about DCC.
Well, all right. Here's my take on DCC, and you can take it for what it's worth, because I did not like DCC when I had the beta rules. I thought it was horribly crunchy and horribly bloated, and I was not happy with it. And I bought that on the blog.
Right.
And then I bought the full rules, and I was like, wow, these actually, the full rules, the release rules were actually very good. At least they read very well. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm getting a feeling like I haven't gotten since when I first read the DMG, when my friend Kenny loaned it to me. And I hadn't known what D&D was until that. And then I ran it. And I'm going to say, and again, folks that are fans of DCC, don't take this the wrong way. Not every system works for every group, but I ran it and it did not work for my group. And it didn't work for me because I don't like yes, every spell has its own chart. For some people, it's a selling point. For me, that isn't. And for my party, the unpredictability of the spell system was a huge detriment, even though the spells almost always wound up going in their favor. And they couldn't kind of guesstimate what the outcome was going to be for their next decision. That being said, I think that the adventures for DCC, the DCC RPG, are astounding. I think that they're very well written, beautifully presented, and I've converted them on the fly for Swords and Wizardry. But I would not. I'll play DCC. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy to play it, but as a DM, it doesn't fit any of the groups that I play with. That kind of unpredictability, it just doesn't fit with the mindset of my players. And as a player, I don't mind because I don't generally play spellcasters, so it isn't something that brings me to a screeching halt, you know. But if you're somebody that's playing spellcasters, DCC is either an amazingly awesome system or it's the worst fucking system you're gonna play. It depends on how you like to play your spellcasters.
Yeah.
So
I mean, to me, it's just DCC is, how shall I say this? A little too arbitrary for me. You know what I mean?
No,
it's just, I mean, I'm not just talking about the spells too. You know, it just seems like it's like D&D is a black comedy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, again, And I have played DCC with Doug Kovacs a number of times, and the system like it. But here's the thing: like Doug does not run things by the book because he rarely refers to the book. And at the DCC ref, I have to refer to the book, or I have to refer to the crawler app. It just it's something like that. I can't not now. Again, some of that comes down to I think I've discussed this. I'm not sure if we discussed it, but rules proficiency or rules fluency. You can, as a player, play a game like DCC with the equivalent of, I don't know, second year language skills in that. Like, this is a book. Where is the bathroom? Because I don't need to know much more because I'm on the player side. But when you are on the DM side, the referee side, your fluency has to be up there where you can be dropped into a country, if it was a foreign language, and have conversations with random people on the street, and maybe they'll recognize you have an accent, but you're going to be understood completely. And I can never hope to get to that level with DCC. There's just too many parts that are fiddly, and even the parts that aren't fiddly are so fucking random. I can't, as a DM, be comfortable in what the results are going to be and be able to plan myself around it. So, yes.
Yeah.
So, I would say that is the issue, at least from my point of view.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop trashing stuff right now. Okay.
I don't see this as trashing DCC because everybody has their own play style, and I mean DCC in the hands of the right GM or ref plays astoundingly well. DCC in my hands probably plays like shit because it's not like I can take my knowledge from AD&D, right, and translate it to DCC. It's as similar as English is to German, and yes, there are some roots, but it really isn't all that similar. Whereas going from AD&D to I don't know, Astonishing Swordsman, Sorcerer type of area is like changing dialects in a language. Like, all right, well, is much, that
yeah.
So it's not like learning a new language. So I think that is part of the secret. I can take my AD&D knowledge and it doesn't break down in Sword and Wizardry or Osric or Labyrinth Lord. And even if I'm not 100% right in the calls I'm going to make, I'm going to be damn close enough that my players aren't going to mind or comment on it. But with DCC, I don't have that. I don't have that safety blanket. D&D is Harlem Nights.
As I said, it was a black comedy. Yeah.
But
that's thank you, Shad. Thanks for the low-hanging fruit. Or maybe I put it out there. I don't know.
We're here twice a month, folks. Don't forget to tip
Richard.
Ladies.
The more complicated. He says the more complicated. Richard Brooks says the more complicated the system, the less role-playing players do. That's been my experience. And that's been my experience too.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get a balance, but still,
I mean,
I want something that's easy to run, and we could just go with it.
Listen, if I could remake 5e, and 5e is a very good system, but again, falls onto that level of I'm never going to learn it well enough to be a good DM for 5e. I would roll back 5e and simplify the actual rules that one needs to run it, not just play it, run it to about, I don't know, 40 pages maybe. And then maybe somebody like me could learn it. You'd have to simplify 5e while keeping the same chassis. I think they could do it. And I'm not talking about a starter box or a basic box. I'm talking about you could run any adventure with these stripped down rules. That to me would be the ideal new version of D&D. is and allow people to modularly add on to it. You want more complex? You want a more complex combat system? Well, here you can add this option on, because as I learned running a game of Swords and Wizardry Light for 5e players that were expecting 5e, and hearing things and explaining to them there's no skills, there's no feats in this game, and yet having people go, what do I roll for detect lie? I go, excuse me? I don't believe what he's saying, but I want to detect lie to make sure. I go, yeah, no, dude. If you don't think he's telling the truth, then maybe he's not telling the truth, or maybe he is and you're wrong. I couldn't tell. I'm not going to tell you. Yeah, but what do I roll? No, man. No, now, if you wanted to, a game like Swords and Wizardry, you can make a saving throw with adjustments your default thing for almost any kind of skill, and that's fine, and it's a great hack. But you don't generally need it. There's things that characters can do and characters can't do, and I don't think there's an issue with that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm crazy.
But it might just be a lunatic you're looking for.
Yeah, it could be.
Come on.
I don't know.
Come on, Glenn. Classic rock and roll. Classic rock and roll questions for identify that song for 100. What's the next line?
Lock and load. Something.
Yes.
Jailhouse Rock. I don't know.
I would say people get stuck on the mechanics and the confusion as players if you get to play their characters and let the GM run the game. That is part of it, yes. Because old school gaming, and this doesn't get discussed often enough, I don't think, but when you play 5e, all right, there's an understanding that the DM is going to run the rules as written, right? And there's a rule for everything and everything in its place. So the DM is going to be impartial because they are following hundreds of pages of rules. Okay. Old school gaming, it's an implicit trust in your GM's ability to interpret the rules and be fair. And that is different. Old school gaming requires, in my opinion, a lot more trust because for 5e DM, interprets a rule wrong or quotes a rule wrong, right? You can look in a book and go, hey, jackass, when falling from a height of 18 feet, the damage is quoted as not what you just quoted. Whereas in an old school game, you're like, is that right? Well, because the way you fell off the ledge, I am ruling that it is. All right. Interpretation, right? You have to. Now, if the players don't trust their DM, if the DM doesn't have very good knowledge of that simplified rule set compared to 5e, you might not have that implicit trust. And I think that the idea with old school gaming is that you get gaming groups that are going to be more established, less of a pickup group, whereas the 5e, a lot of it is built upon organized play. So you need that rigid structure of the rules and less interpretation by the DM. But again, it's less trusting the interpretation and more expectation that the DM is going to be a stickler for the rules and stick within the rules. Where again, old school gaming to me, it's more about trust and building relationships, believe it or not. And I see that as a strength in the OSR. I'm not saying you can't do that with 5e, but when you have to interpret stuff, when you have to make rulings, not rules, there is more interplay going on between people. And I think that trust means a lot.
There is. Good point, David.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we owned and knew the systems. Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Back in the day, it was mostly your bartender here owning the systems and the players just following along. My players never read Paranoia, and I ran that multiple summers. Star Race, Time Master, those pace setter games. I was the only one that owned the books. I dabbled in a lot of different RPGs. The only ones that everybody was buying books for in the beginning was Warhammer, Fantasy Roleplay, and toward the end of our time in the mid to late 60s, mid to late 90s, riffs on Battlelords of the 23rd century. But other than that, it wasn't D&D or AD&D. One person had the rules, generally me, and everybody else passed the book around to figure out how they're going to make the game. We always had a session to make PCs for any non-D&D game, because there was usually one book being passed around.
To me, that's the virtue. That's the virtue of PDFs. Because I'm gonna say this, so don't give me any grief over it. But nowadays, to make sure everybody's up to speed, if I'm gonna try and run a new game or whatever game like this, I will send everybody the PDF just to make sure they're all up to speed. They can make their characters. We'll probably do it at the table, but they can use it for reference at the table. That's why I always get, when I buy a physical book, I always make sure I get the PDF too.
Right.
Because it's just, as a GM, it's so much handier.
Well,
I don't have to pass something like that around.
Right. Or even if I want to, touch up on the rules the night before, I can read a PDF in bed. I'm not going to keep Rach up. And I'm not going to have a 600-page tome lying on my chest as I'm trying to read in bed. David, we played FGU games a lot. My sympathies. And they always flowed smoothly as we were all fluent with the systems we played. What would happen with the FGU games, like Bushido and others, is that somebody in the group would buy the game, and then after a month of not being able to comprehend the rules, they would hand them to me and say, "This game is now yours. Just try to learn the rules." And then I would try to learn the rules, and if it was FGU, I would generally say, "Do you want the game back?" Because I can't figure out the rules. I love Swordbearer. Don't get me wrong. I love Dennis Astaire Swordbearer, but I could never run it.
Well, V&V was the exception. Everybody seems to understand that.
V&V was the exception. I should say everybody in my group, except for me, owned a copy of the V&V rules. And I didn't own a copy because I refused to run a superheroes game. And if I owned a copy, they would make me run it. So I just figured if they want to play superheroes, somebody else is going to run it.
Yes, David, you're right. You're right. He's justifying my argument against people who don't like champions in Euro system. Oh, it's too hard math. Add, subtract, fractions, hard to do.
Buckets of dice. I had the Champions box set, and
bucket dice is fun.
If I want to roll buckets of dice, I'll play TNT.
Tunnels and Trolls. Yeah, Tunnels and Trolls. or what is it? Shadowrun?
Oh yeah, Shadowrun too. David Thompson, 5e DMs are supposed to be therapists, carers, and safety officers as well as DMs. You're describing a social worker
that's
here.
The problem.
And I gotta make. I should tell Ray. Oh, she's got her headphones on. She has no idea.
No, I don't have them on. I can hear you.
David Thompson says that 5th edition Dungeon Masters are supposed to be therapists, carers, and safety officers as well as DMs. So, Rach, you would be a great DM then for 5e.
Well, I guess like facilitating a group.
Yeah, she facilitates like group therapy. Yeah,
want to make sure that people feel safe in it, but
it's not the same.
We're not going to unpack all their like deep dark shit playing a game.
No, come on, that's the way. I would pay to play in a game like that. Oh, that's an idea, Rach. You could do.
Oh my god.
Social work sessions with D&D. Oh god, let's.
I mean, if you can use it for like therapeutic interventions in VA hospitals for people with like wartime trauma,
treasure and
you
could call it treasure and therapy.
Treasure
and therapy.
TNT, treasure and therapy. I don't know. To his credit, Jeremy Crawford does repeatedly say the DM should interpret the rules. Raw is an outgrowth of Adventures League and tournaments, and that is true, Matt. That is true. But
I believe
that And you have to remember too that run is
that
written.
was back but that goes back to like Gary in first edition.
Yes,
Tournament rules from
right.
Part of the reason why 1E got written.
Yes, you're right, and that's it, Glenn. 1E was a response to all the interpretations and house rules of the original game, and it's like, oh, we need to clean this up, and we need one standard set of rules for the convention play, and even wrote that you should not be changing the rules. But I don't see I see a lot of like OSR games that get house ruled to an extent, large or small. I don't hear of many 5e campaigns getting house ruled. I believe maybe you're interpreting a rule, but it's certainly not. Old school gaming, part of the charm is, oh, I'm playing a Swords of Wizardry game. Oh, you use a version of the of luck, kind of like in DCC, but not quite. Oh, interesting. All right, that's let's see how that plays out. That is just something you don't normally would see in a 5e game, from my understanding.
Right.
Again, I don't interact with too many. My knowledge of 5e is from what I can get online. Dave, all my players own all the games you played. Yeah, well, obviously you didn't own too many games. I was buying a game every, 2 or 3 times a month. I was adding a new game to my collection. I was a game hoarder. A hoarder, I tell you. And
a game whore?
I still have a game whore. Are you a game whore? I'm a game whore. So
you're trying to avoid me.
That's the other game that Rach wants to play at Game Hole. She wants to find a Paranoia game.
Paranoia.
Now I've run Paranoia. I ran first and second edition Paranoia, and I had a fucking blast running those games. And we would run them as very short campaigns, like 3 to 5 sessions. Usually by then, everybody was through the vast majority of their clones, if not all of them. But it was fun. It was fun. And I actually play tested for West End Games when they were in Manhattan. So those were the days.
Thank you, David. And
PDF stop players with greasy hands. Yep, that is true.
Yeah.
Greasy hands are the devil's playthings,
right? Devil's Radio? I don't
know.
That's impressive. Bushido for 20 years. That's impressive.
And it's weird because I think Bushido has an implied setting that allows you to generate adventures for it.
Star Trek.
We have a bit of a knowledge of it. Space Opera for 20, fastest Star Trek
and
for 25.
Fastest Star Trek for 20. That's impressive, especially the Star Trek. Wow.
Yeah.
I played it once. I think only Kevin Cook has enough dice to play.
That's funny.
Richard, I will take Richard. Champions of the Millennium Fusion was better for us than Champs 4E. I will take exception to that remark. I thought Fusion was pretty good too, but don't tread on my champion. Don't tread on my big blue book.
Fusion was a weird system. I remember. I don't think I was actually gaming when I was collecting all those.
They actually had a core book out, believe it or not. I found it much later.
Yeah, I found it in PDF. I think it was free in PDF, or at least a version of it. And I remember, listen, this is back in the pre-Fate days when we look at rules like fudge, and it's like how can I house rule fudge into a different type of system? So
into Fate.
Yeah, well, then Fate happened, and I was like, I don't understand Fate, but I understood fudge. Fudge.
On household
5e
because they don't know the rules. They just use the D&D telephone game. That's pretty good. Wow. David Thompson worked at Games Workshop. Wow. Half my pay went back into the shop each month. I believe it. 25, 50% off. I'd probably do the same thing.
Fantasy Games Unlimited is the original FGU. And they had, I don't believe they had a house system. I think every game they put out was totally different rule system, which kind of broke my brain. But I would always see the FGU games, and no, I just didn't buy them. You know. Oh, all right. Let's see. Yeah, Fantasy Games Unlimited. Trying to catch up on you guys. You got to just. Oh, I didn't know if you were still selling the originals. I guess, but not V and V. But now isn't V and V retitled?
No, that's faster. No, he got it. Jeff D got it back, and so it's Faster Monkey Games.
Okay, but no,
the successor.
All right, but is it still called Villains and Vigilantes, or is it?
Yeah, it's Villains and Vigilantes, Mighty Protectors. I think he did that just so they wouldn't bother him about the V and V.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Starship and Spaceman 2. I'll think about it, Richard. I'm not really much on sci-fi, but I'll think about it.
Well, here's the thing, and I got in trouble for this one. The initial print or the initial PDF on Starships and Spacemen 2E, which is from Goblinoid Games, was full. Not full. It had a number of typos. Nothing. Now that I'm a smallish publisher, I understand they crop in. But as a system, that if you wanted to take Labyrinth Lord and mash it up with sci-fi or any of the old school fantasy systems,
future
Starships and Spacemen is a great way to mix and match, because he brought Starships and Spacemen to an OSR rule set, and I think he did a great job. So hats off to Dan Proctor.
Yay, FGU. What? No, Todd, be nice. I didn't say I didn't like Fusion.
Fudge is fantastic. Better than Fate. I agree. And Fudge was a very short system, but there were a nice number of hacks for it. But never got to run it.
I still have my Fudge dice.
System. Okay. Daredevils, Bushido, and Aftermath. Aftermath and Bushido are two games that I own, and now I know why I was never able to wrap my head around it. Both games, by the way, given to me by different members of the group. Bushido was given to me by a member that would put up their phone number and looking for a group at the Complete Strategist in Manhattan. And we called him and invited him. He came. Second session, he gave me Bushido to learn how to run it, and then he never showed up again. So I guess that was a parting gift he gave us. I guess we weren't a great group.
Yeah.
And after
Daredevil's
go ahead.
No. What about Aftermath? What about Aftermath?
Aftermath was given to me by my friend Paul, who we lost at 9/11. But again, he gave it to me with the idea of, please learn these rules. I want to play this system. And I tossed in my dice a few months later.
I always confused Daredevils with Mercenary Spies and Private Eyes.
Oh yeah, and I didn't get Mercenary Spies and Private Eyes until later in my gaming career. It's a nice system for running a James Bond type thing.
Mecton Zeta is a good game.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. My mother was
gone, folks. Oh. His mother was calling. And you know what? We lost your sound. Interesting.
I'm trying.
It's going to be a fun rewatch.
I'm trying. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yeah. Yay. Rachel, you might need to call my mother.
What's this?
My phone somehow grabbed my AirPods when when Rach picked up. Trials and tribulations.
Yeah. Well, you still have your ears.
Yes.
So, what's it say? Haha. Todd mentioned Cyberpunk 2020 and Mekton Zeta. I worked for Artel for a brief time. I remember when 2020 came out and they were working on Mekton.
Damn.
Yeah, I came at the end of like Dream Park, and I worked on one of the Cyberpunk box sets, Land of the Free or something like that.
Home of the Brave.
I was mostly a layout monkey. I did a couple of cute drawings for. I designed the character sheet for Cyberpunk 2020. Something a friend of mine will not let me forget because he thinks they're so awesome, and that's great. I didn't even realize they were still out there.
Well, Glenn, you see now, I might ask you then to design a Swords and Wizardry sheet for Swords and Wizardry Continual Light.
No.
Yes.
No, that's what I. No, I don't wanna.
Yeah, you
do. No, I'm. People like James V. West, and other people like that do much better at that kind of thing. I use a page program.
All right, sorry. That phone call was just to give me knowledge that my niece is in the house.
Yay!
My little Pinky. So, I can tell it's even with the AC. I'm sweating. Although you wouldn't know it from my hair.
It looked okay. Looks okay.
John, I liked Fusion. Never ran it because it was during my in between. It was my 10 years away from gaming where I would still buy the occasional third edition like Forgotten Realms product to read and then think about what great stuff I could be doing if I had a gaming group. And Fusion was one of the systems that looked really good, but I never ran it, so I couldn't tell you. Again, looked good, but without having tried to really run it, I don't know. V&V World War II book. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, they put the FGU guy is still putting out the old version of V&V. Although Jeff D's putting out his own stuff.
Interesting. And Cyberpunk, Cyberpunk 2020. That's how Cyberpunk Red, right? Is that
the
new version of it?
See, I am a hero. I told you.
Yes, Glenn, you've always been my hero. I never played Mekton. At most, I had the Battle Droids box set before it became BattleTech. Before they're sued by Lucas, and it was a great concept, but it was such a low quality in the components that your mechs came on full color printed sheets of paper. So to actually use it, you had to glue it onto like a cigarette box, or a cereal box, or any of those boxes, and then cut it out because otherwise you just had something that's going to flop in the smallest breeze.
Oh, yeah.
60.
We're going all over
the
place tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, 86 degrees here in New York City at nearly 90.
87
nearly
here
90.
In Oklahoma.
There you go. Oakley. You're in Okie. Enoki Finoki. So, yeah, Glenn, no, seriously, I'd like you to have you do a character sheet. You want something better than a character sheet that I did.
Yeah, but I don't draw anything. I just do it. I pull out my page layout program and just lay them out.
That's it. Listen, Swords of Wizardry Continual Light. I want something simple, but not as simple as I did. So, that's all we need, Glenn. All we need. So, for those of you following along at home, Torchlight issue number 1 released earlier this week on Monday is a silver bestseller on Drive-Thru RPG. If you want to pick
And
up
I did
a
the
copy,
cover.
Glenn did the cover. If you want to pick up a copy, I am going to suggest go to tenkarstavern.com. Go to the post from Monday of this week. There is a link there so you can get a copy for $2 instead of $3 in PDF. The game plan is
Hello, Indigo.
after we get everything perfected, I'm going to do a small proof run. And if we have good results, I should have something physical to take with me to ShireCon and have a number of copies to take with us to Gamehole and in October, and hopefully Swords and Wizards Continual Light physical copies by October. James Shields is working on the cover, and I basically told James, I'm not the artist, you are.
I know I got bumped.
For the cover, he did the cover of Swords and Wizards Continual Light, the first print. So I had to go with James for the second because that was him. But we're going to change up the interior.
I thought that was stock art or something.
Well, it actually wound up, there was a black and white version of that was stock art. It was a rejected cover that he had done for somebody else. And then he released the color version for his Patreon backers. And I was just like, James, this is going to be a great cover. So I was like, we're going for it, and it was great. So now I'm actually commissioning a cover from James. So and then hopefully after that
he can do that now.
Yeah, and then after that, Torchlight issue number 2, and we're going to be kicking off something that me and Mike talked about. Mike is excited. We're going to be kicking off Pub Crawls, like a 4-page one sheet for adventures, maps generated on the 1-page dungeon generator because they're commercially usable, and then have somebody use the rest of those pages to do a digest-sized adventure. And if we can get one out a month, with the bulk of the money is going toward the writer and the layout artist, I'm happy. So just trying to get stuff out there and get people published and get products out there for Swords and Wizardry. Because it's my baby.
And I'll cry if I want to. Oh, sorry.
Oh my God.
Thought it was your party.
Indeed. It's my party and I'll cry if I want. Or maybe she's crying because she's having a baby. And now she's crying. I don't know, Glenn. The possibilities are endless.
What a wonderful
world this could be. Oh,
what
my
a
God.
wonderful thing! How much I love you. Now I'm quoting song lyrics. I think it's time to go.
We're getting a little stir crazy. Be careful with me. I think those Disney kids, Dylan and Cole Sprouse, still owns the name Pub Crawl. Form when they did D&D on Twitch. It's different. I'm not doing Twitchery with it, so we'll try. We'll see.
Twitchery.
And I don't have it as
Twitchery.
I have it as 2 separate words, not one. But we'll see. Time will tell. I do have the logo. If I have to get another logo and change the name, we'll deal with that when it comes. But whatever. I am certainly not a large enough publisher or influential enough. If somebody would bother sending me a C&D, I'm more likely to get an email saying, "Hey, do you think you could?" And I'd be like, "Oh, okay,
come
sorry."
Hey, aren't you? I thought you were the Howard Stern of the OSR.
No,
the master of all media.
No. I get people banned from the internet. No, I'm not the master of all. The Howard Stern of the
OSR media. There we go.
The Howard Stern of the OSR would be. I'm not sure. Wenger, pundit. Certainly not me. I am not.
I'd hate to. I wouldn't want. I wouldn't want you to be the Rush Limbaugh of the OSR because then you'd be dead.
and I'd have to put on more weight and talk like I'm always out of breath. No, I don't want to be Rush. You can, unless we talk about the rock band Rush.
I do a lot.
You know.
Hey, I could do a lot of dialects and voices, but his is not one of them. Nor do I want to.
Brendan, have I ever done anything? Either one of us done anything on Mork Borg? I own the book. I think it's a beautiful looking book. And I
not have the book. It's just not
Phil
my.
Reed is, no, it's an artistic style. Phil Reed has done some great work for it, and I will probably steal bits of what Phil Reed has done, character-wise, for my upcoming Swords and Wizardry campaign, because I don't have an issue mixing systems. I just use things for inspiration. So,
and Mork Borg to me is not really not.
Listen, if I swear, I thought turkeys could fly. I really thought turkeys could fly. Les Nessman.
Yeah, I was going to say Mork Borg isn't really my wheelhouse. I saw it. To me, it's like the second coming of Lamentations of the Flame Princess, but I could be wrong. I have never seen the book. Never had the book.
You know what? It's somewhere near me, but I'm not quite sure where. Oh, it's on the other shelf. It's a beautiful book. If that's the art style that you like, and I appreciate that art style, it's a beautiful book. There are some people who look at it and go, "It's too cluttered. I can't stand this." All art but no substance, in my opinion, Joshua. Yeah, again, there's enough. I don't think I could run it, but I could certainly steal stuff and use it for inspiration. That's what I plan to do. So I'm going to be a thief. Yeah. A thief, I tell you.
Yeah, you going to play a thief?
No. Or maybe. I GM anyway. I don't get a chance to play much anymore. So, but if I was going to play, I'd probably play a cleric.
Well, Brandon says definitely not Lamentations. There's hope for it then. Just kind of down on. I'm just kind of down on anything that's the stuff that's really nihilistic.
Okay. I'm not a
metal guy. Let me put it that way.
No, that's fine. Just bringing up Lamentations reminds me the rough book is probably dead in the water. But hey, what's good money if you can't throw good money after bad, right? The rough
you
book
mean like Far East?
Oh, Far West. Oh my God! Stop! You're killing me. Next, you're going to talk to me and tell me that City State, the Invincible Overlord, is right around the corner. Come on.
All I have to say is pencil dice, pencil dice, pencil dice.
Pencil dice are coming out, according to Ken. He has asked people to confirm their mailing addresses. Yes.
Wow.
They're I don't believe it either.
Wow.
But, there were updates on the Kickstarter. So go figure, folks. Go figure. If you ordered pencil dice,
I figured those will come out. I'd probably see Yar before I'd see pencil dice.
I don't expect to see Yar. I think Yar has gone into its.
I'm getting that point too. I'm getting at that point too. We get one email a year saying, I'm working on it.
I'm working on it, but life sucks. And
hey, I got back to basics in Hyperborea 3E coming, so I'm going to be happy.
2 thumbs up to Glenn. I know. No, you're right.
Two thumbs up. Up your.
Yeah, Yar was a cheap investment.
Yar was a nice.
I thought it was.
It was a nice attempt.
I thought it was a shoe, and I'm like, all this is
$25
doing is it's updating the original rules. I mean, how hard can that be? And then, I guess it was hard.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, Glenn, should we bid everybody adieu?
I think we're running out.
Well, we could keep this going for ages, but people would just start dropping like flies. So we don't want to kill you softly.
Well, I have to go to the bathroom. We have to go. We have to go to the bathroom sometime. And eat and sleep.
Yeah. Real life takes precedence, folks. Again, if you want to pick up a copy of Torchlight,
thanks, guys.
Tavern.com. Also, I think I have on the sidebar on the left. There's a graphic and a link. You can go to the post real quickly that way.
You should.
Again, thank you to everybody who subscribed, will subscribe, should subscribe. If you're watching this, please subscribe. And $1,000, I give away 500 in drive-through gift certificate monies. Can't go wrong with that. You know, we gave away 500 when we hit 500, and that was only a month and a half ago.
That's right.
So, holy shit.
And yes, Hyperborea 3E still has 2 weeks to go on the Kickstarter. Grab some of that goodness, back it. Guy funded in 17 minutes. $20,000 in 17 minutes. You believe that?
That is amazing. I mean, Jeff is
unreal.
Good people. You know,
he is great.
There are creators, and that you're gonna go, all right. Well, they make good work, and they're like, I don't know what kind of person they are. Jeff is just a good, solid person. So,
I was waiting for that. It was like 8 o'clock. I was waiting. 7 o'clock. I was waiting for it to go. I got in there. I was number 44.
Oh wow!
So
I don't know
that shows you how fast this thing.
Yeah, I don't even know how to know what number you funded.
I think look on your pledge on Kickstarter. Somewhere, that's how I found out. It says you're number 44. So check that out, folks. It's a great system, and he's a great guy, and it's worth the money. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, right now he is 15 days to go, 136,000 raised, over 1,200 backers, folks, and Jeff does good stuff. You know, it isn't like he just puts out.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah. So
it's yours are reasonably priced too. I got in at the 120. You got in at the 220, which was the top. I got in the 120.
Yeah, 225. Yeah.
5 with the top tier, not counting the retailers. So it's reasonably priced, and it's really worth the money.
Yeah.
Great game. You'll have a lot of fun with it. I have a lot of fun running it. Anyway.
You know, and here's the thing. It's not like you're going to go, well, what kind of appearance in my backing? Jeff is not an asshole. He's just a solidly good individual.
Not
and
at all.
He's unlocked a lot of stretch goals. Holy crap.
Oh, tons of them. And he one of those guys who put all the work in first, and then he starts the Kickstarter, so he's not going to leave you.
Yeah.
He's not going to leave you short. David says he only made backer 1024. Very excellent record. I'm back 2E, now I'm back in 3E. You're the one who's got
I get both versions of the books. I get all the copies for myself. Maybe I'll pass.
I got one of the metal ones. I got one of the metal ones. I think, like I said, the second to the highest. That's all I had. I mean, I saved money from North for this Kickstarter. I held back some money to do this.
I gotta hold back. Can't give it all away.
Yeah. And don't forget about Eric's his the blog, the chat, the plug. Eric, plug. Come on, I'm trying to help you here.
Listen, it's the community. That's all. Listen, you can consume or be part of this community, whether it's on the Discord server, the blog, the YouTube, or the podcast. We do it for you. All right, we do it because we enjoy doing this. We're not doing this to make ourselves wealthy and rich. We do this as a service for you. So on that
I
note,
wouldn't mind a little
all right.
money.
Well, a little. Listen, if you're buying Torchlight, Glenn gets a percentage of those profits. Okay.
And so does
Will you buy?
so does everybody else who worked on it.
You know, and
but drive-through gets its scrubby little hands on it. But
drive-through gets 35%, so they get a third right off the top. Okay. And hey, as well they should, right? But they are the only game in town. Hopefully, at some point, we have another retailer of PDFs that will allow creators a little bit more of their own
Torchlight.
monies.
We're doing Torchlight. We're doing Torchlight as a quarterly, right?
Aiming for quarterly. We'll see what happens. Torchlight will continue light. Digest edition may slow it down, but hopefully, crossing fingers, we'd like to see it. I think probably in a couple of weeks I'll put out a call of. We're going to put out a call for content for issue 2. We're going to try to gather a theme for that. We shall see. Glenn, you were going to say?
No, I was going to say, don't forget Eric's stuff. I also have. Don't listen to Thaco's Hammer. Listen to Radio Grognard, and contribute if you want. I got a Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com/oldmangrognard, and all that other good stuff that we are. And watch my YouTube videos. Sure, why not? I haven't done those in a long time, but I'll get back to it.
50 lashes. Folks, neither Glenn nor I are medical professionals. We are still in the midst of the world of COVID. But listen, I'm not going to tell you whether you get vaccinated or not, but you have to make decisions that will keep yourself, your loved ones, your family, your friends healthy and safe. Ignore the talking heads, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on cable news or your local news. Talk to a medical professional.
Don't ignore the.
Don't ignore what?
No, don't ignore us talking heads. We're
just telling you to go to a medical professional that you trust and seek the advice from them.
Mm-hmm.
Be safe, be well, God bless. Roll those dice. And I'll be back tomorrow night, probably 8 p.m., maybe 7:30, depending on how the lighting is and how the weather is. If Rich and I can do Gamers Health from the backyard, we might do that, in which case it'll be earlier. But tomorrow in the evening, Rich and I will be live. Gamers Health. I really appreciate the comments we had last time and the number of viewers. We set a new record, so thank you so much. All right, folks.
All right, Richard.
On that note, we are out of here.